Hello my friend and welcome to this month's Good News Show as we take a look back at what's gone right in October. If you're new here, I'm Sam and I make videos highlighting good news and solutions to some of the world's biggest problems. And if you've been here before, it's lovely to have you back. And if you've been enjoying these roundups, tap that like button down below. It's the quickest way to tell the algorithm to spread some good news and stop throwing doom and gloom at us. So let's get into it. Here's some good news from October that you might have missed. A historic global agreement to protect the world's ocean and reverse damage to marine life is officially becoming international law. It's called the Global Ocean Treaty, and it finally gives us a way to create marine protected areas in international waters. Think of these like national parks but in the ocean, that block harmful activity like industrial fishing and allow marine life to recover. Right now, only 1% of international waters are protected, but the treaty provides a roadmap to protect 30% of our ocean by 2030. It officially kicks in this January now that 60 countries have signed it into law, and that number's already jumped to 75. If you've been watching my shows, you may remember I spoke to members of the French government about this as it was being discussed at the Ocean Conference in Nice when 50 countries were signed up, so the fact that so many more have come on board is great news. This wouldn't have happened without decades of campaigning from people just like you. And this is a big win, but it's just the start. We now need world leaders to act quickly and boldly to create a vast network of ocean sanctuaries to help the ocean not only recover, but thrive, and ensure future generations can enjoy the ocean and its benefits for years to come. And you can actually be involved in helping that to happen. There's a petition I've popped in the description down below to demand your local leaders stand up for our blue planet. Sometimes we need global treaties to protect the ocean, but sometimes all it takes is one person, and that's what this next story is about. A Canadian teen invented a bionic sea turtle robot that can monitor and help save coral reefs, and he just won a European prize for it. 15-year-old Evan Buds from Ontario designed and built the autonomous robot himself, even testing early versions in his grandparents' pool. Powered by artificial intelligence, it can quietly monitor underwater ecosystems while blending in with marine life, reducing disruption to fragile environments. Bud's creation has earned him one of the top prizes at the European Union contest for young scientists, held in Riga, Latvia. Chosen from 133 young scientists representing 37 countries, his project stood out for its creativity and conservation potential. Inspired by the natural movement of a snapping turtle he once observed while camping, Buds hopes his idea can one day help protect some of the ocean's most threatened habitats. On the subject of turtles, at the 2025 IUCN conference in Abu Dhabi, it was announced that green sea turtles are no longer classed as endangered. After decades of conservation, from protecting nesting beaches to reducing bycatch with turtle-excluded devices, global populations have risen by around 28% since the 1970s. Community efforts in hotspots like Hawaii, Brazil, Mexico and Ascension Island have been key to this success. And pine martens have officially returned to Exmoor National Park for the first time in over a century. As part of a landmark reintroduction project, 19 animals were released at secret woodland sites this autumn, following years of planning by the Two Moors Pine Marten project. For this next story, we stay in the UK, where doctors in London announced a historic breakthrough. For the first time, Huntington's disease has been successfully treated. The fatal condition, which destroys brain cells and combines symptoms of dementia, Parkinson's and motor neuron disease, was slowed by an astonishing 75% in patients who received a one-time treatment involving an injection into 6 parts of the brain. This is huge, as it could give people with the disease a decades more healthy life, and specialists are saying it's unlike anything they've ever seen before. Patients who are expected to decline rapidly are instead holding steady. Some are still walking when they should be in wheelchairs, and one even returned to work early after retirement. Though the therapy is expensive and still awaiting approval, researchers believe it could transform lives for generations. For families like that of 30-year-old Jack May Davis, who inherited the gene from his late father, the discovery brings something they never thought possible: real hope for a longer, brighter future. In other health news this month, the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was awarded to Japan's Shimon Sakaguchi and US scientists Mary Brunko and Fred Ramsdell for discovering how the immune system avoids attacking the body. This research not only deepens our understanding of immunity, but also opens the door to new treatments for conditions like type 1 diabetes, multiple sclerosis, and even cancer. And from one medical breakthrough to another, this time in the fight against HIV, I'm going to pass the mic to someone closely involved in a global health effort that could change millions of lives.
Hey Sam, it's Yogun Pillai here from the Gates Foundation. This month, the world took a huge step forward in preventing HIV. There's a new prevention shot called lenacapavir. It's the first of its kind, and here's the best part. It's only needed twice a year to stay protected. It could help prevent 1 in 5 cases in places hit hardest. Partners are teaming up to roll it out as quickly as possible, including here in Africa. But it's too expensive for too many of us. That's why we've worked with some amazing partners to make this shot available for just $40 a year in countries where it's needed most. That is a game changer. And honestly, seeing what's possible when people come together for a good cause gives me great hope for the future. There's indeed a lot to be optimistic about.
If you've got a few seconds spare and are able to tap that like and subscribe button down below, it helps me get people on the front lines of these breakthroughs on this channel and directly talking to you. And it also allows me to occasionally go down and visit cool things on the ground. This month, I went to visit Forest Green Rovers that the UN actually calls the world's greenest football club. Let's take a look at how they're making sport more sustainable.
We focus on 3 big things of energy, transport and food, because 80% of all carbon emissions for a person, for a club, for a company or any size are in those 3 things: how you power yourself, how you travel, like what you eat. So we focus on those. And so for any big club, I'd say, look at them. Now, where's your energy come from? And we've done all kinds of green stuff. I mean, we're famously vegan. That's the big thing. Our pitch is organic. We've got solar panels up there, electric vehicles. The groundskeeping kit is all electric.
One of the other really unique things the club does is a scheme called Pee to Pitch, which uses rainwater and the fans' pee for the sprinkler system to keep the pitch luscious and green.
Yeah, and it does. And I think Dale's got a good way of putting it, that he kind of puts it there, we literally take the piss out of the away fans. Yeah. So I thought that's quite clever.
And lastly, I heard today about this amazing scheme, which is essentially prescribing football for people who may be going through mental health stuff.
We've created a scheme whereby anybody that's suffering from isolation or depression or anything like that, we give them a card, they come here and swap it for a ticket and come to a game. So like, I think modern life disconnects us from nature and from people, and it's easy to get lonely and isolated and not to have a friendship group. That's really easy to do. And so the idea is we bring people here, they become part of the fan experience. We've got a lovely crowd here, have a great experience watching football. We have great food as well. And it's going to make them feel better. That's the idea.
Now let's go from Forest Green Rovers to the Amazon rainforest. Trees in the Amazon rainforest are getting fatter, showcasing the rainforest's surprising resilience despite mounting environmental pressures. A new study from the University of Cambridge has found that average tree size across the Amazon has increased by 3.2% each decade, likely in response to rising carbon dioxide levels. The largest trees, just 1% of the forest, now store around half its carbon, underscoring the Amazon's vital role as a global carbon sink. But the cause of this growth, the rising CO2, is also the main driver of global warming. While trees may temporarily benefit, researchers warn this boost could be short-lived if deforestation and climate threats continue. Old-growth forests with their complex ecosystems and centuries-old trees cannot simply be replanted. Once they're gone, so is one of our most effective natural defences against climate change. So this research is a clear reminder of why protecting what remains is absolutely essential. The guys over at the Climate Denies Playbook did an amazing episode all about this subject named More CO2 is Good for the Planet, which I've linked down below. I definitely recommend giving it a listen. I can help give you some context for people claiming that more CO2 is actually better for the planet. Now, over the years, we've become experts at pumping toxic gases into the atmosphere, with coal playing a starring role. But this next story marks a global turning point in how we power our world. Renewable energy overtook coal as the world's largest source of electricity for the first time. A huge rise in solar, and to a lesser extent wind, pushed renewables to generate 5,072 terawatt-hours of electricity in the first half of 2025, overtaking coal at 4,896 terawatt-hours, according to new data from Ember. That's a 7.7% jump in renewable output compared to last year, while coal generation actually fell slightly. As a result, renewables now now make up 34.3% of global electricity, while coal's share has dropped to 33.1%, marking a historic turning point in how the world powers itself. However, this picture isn't the same everywhere. While developing nations are powering ahead with record clean energy growth, regions like the US and EU have leaned more on fossil fuels due to policy changes and higher energy demand. Yet, with the IEA expecting solar to be the world's largest power source by 2033, this gap is only expected to grow. I know a lot of my US viewers feel the US is falling behind the rest of the world in the clean energy revolution, especially with news this month that the country's largest solar plant is set to be cancelled, when solar energy is actually the world's cheapest power source. But there was actually a change in the wind off the coast of Rhode Island, where a single offshore project could soon power 350,000 homes. A federal judge has cleared the way for Danish energy giant Ørsted to resume work on its Revolution wind project, despite the Trump administration's ongoing efforts to shut it down. The $5 billion development had been stalled by a stop work order in August, and cancelling it now would mean throwing away over $1 billion in additional breakaway costs. But the ruling means that construction can continue while the legal fight plays out. Revolution Wind is already 80% complete, with most turbines installed and all offshore foundations in place. Once finished, it will stand as one of the nation's largest offshore wind projects, delivering clean energy to Rhode Island and Connecticut. So this could be a glimmer of hope in keeping America's clean energy ambitions alive. From cleaning how we power the world to cleaning our environment, these next stories show how communities are fighting back against pollution, starting with one of the biggest environmental lawsuits the UK has ever seen. Nearly 4,000 people have joined a landmark case at the High Court, accusing poultry giant Avara Foods and Welsh Water of polluting the rivers Wye, Usk and Lugg. Once clear and full of life, these rivers are now described as murky and slimy, with ecosystems in serious decline. Wildlife filmmaker Justine Evans, who's leading the case, says these heavily protected rivers are at the point of collapse and it's time for real enforcement. Both companies deny the claims, but campaigners hope that this legal action will set a new precedent for holding polluters accountable. And while that fight is still ongoing, this next story from October shows what long-term investment and commitment can actually achieve. After 40 years, Muskegon Lake in Michigan is no longer toxic. Once choked with industrial waste, the lake has been transformed thanks to $84 million in restoration work, reviving wetlands, cleaning the lake bed, and bringing back vital habitats. It's a powerful reminder that polluted environments can recover with the right action. And from water pollution to air pollution, this month I also visited a city making major strides in creating clean air for its communities. This month I headed down to St Mary's Primary School in London, where new indoor air quality filters are helping pupils breathe cleaner air. I got a chance to chat to the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, about it.
Well, in London what we've done is, experts said it will take us 200 years to bring the air in London within legal limits. We've done it in 9. A number of things we've done. We've got the world's largest clean air zone, the ULEZ, which means there are fewer polluting vehicles who churn out this poison. So even though we're now within legal limits of nitrogen dioxide, we do know, unfortunately, inside classrooms, there are still pollutants called PM2.5, particulate matter.
PM2.5 is a harmful air pollutant made of tiny particles smaller than 2.5 micrometers, like dust and smoke, that can stay airborne for long periods and get deep into the lungs, causing serious health issues.
We've been testing the effectiveness of air quality filters, and the great news is that some of them can reduce pollutants, particulate matter, by up to 68%.
Wow, that's nice.
So we've used £2.7 million to pay for 200 schools to have these air quality filters to see how we can make a difference.
The school has even gone further to protect their pupils from air pollution and installed a green wall and campaigned against motorist engines idling outside the school too. And it wasn't just London making progress. Chile's air pollution policies are helping lift the smog cloud in the city of Santiago too. After 30 years of efforts including reducing agricultural burning, electrifying public transport and more, the number of hours people are exposed to high levels of pollution has fallen by an epic 66%. A recent study found that air pollution from oil and gas is causing early deaths for more than 90,000 Americans every year. So we need more initiatives like this to help address this invisible and often largely overlooked problem to create a safer planet for us and the next generations. And this leads me to my next story, which I really love, as it's about a community that took creating a safer environment for their children into their own hands. In Atlanta, neighbours came together and raised $10,000 from the community to build a pop-up bike lane to help children cycle to and from school safely. The main route to a local elementary and high school was a wide, busy road that felt unsafe for young riders, so 42 residents donated funds and 36 volunteers transformed one side of the street from parking into a protected two-way lane. It was built as part of Atlanta's Tactical Urbanism program, which gives neighbourhood groups the power to pitch and use low-cost short-term projects to test new street designs. While the lane is only a trial for now, the hope is that it will prove the value of making it permanent, giving kids a healthier, safer way to get to school and cutting down on traffic and local air pollution at the same time. Building off the awesome community in Atlanta, I want to take a moment to say a big thank you to my Patreon and YouTube community who helped me produce these videos and shine a light on people creating a better planet. And for the price of a cup of coffee each month, you can join the fight against all the doom and gloom, help me make more of these videos, get access to exclusive content, more good news stories, and get your name credited in the videos too. To support, just type this URL in or tap the link below and join the club. And if it's easier, I've also set up YouTube memberships, so you can just tap that join button down below to become a member over here instead, with all the same perks. These final stories are about the power of nature and a few awesome initiatives. Over a quarter of schools in England are turning their grey playgrounds and campuses into green spaces, thanks to the National Education Nature Park programme. Led by the Natural History Museum and backed by the Department for Education, the initiative is helping over 7,500 schools, nurseries and colleges boost biodiversity with ponds, wildflower meadows, green walls and more. Students are at the heart of the project, mapping habitats, designing gardens and leading sustainability efforts right on their school grounds. These student-led transformations are not only helping nature thrive, but also improving support for student well-being whilst building vital green skills for the future too. So far, over 13 million square metres of habitat have been mapped, about 10,000 Olympic-sized swimming pools worth of nature, and with more than £12 million in grants already awarded and a further £3 million just announced, even more schools in underserved areas are set to join this growing nationwide network of young nature champions. A high school in Maine is utilising green spaces in a really unique way. Rather than detention, where students sit in a room for an hour or two isolated, Morse High School in Bath has introduced detention hikes, where students walk local trails as an alternative to being isolated in a room. The initiative has already shown promising results, with students reporting better moods, fewer repeat offences, and even a newfound love for the outdoors. Our final story takes us to Ukraine. A unique rewilding project is helping war veterans in Ukraine heal through the power of nature. Rewilding Ukraine has launched a 2-year initiative called Nature for Veterans. The programme brings groups of soldiers and their families to the Ukrainian Danube Delta, where they spend 6 days immersed in one of Europe's wildest landscapes. Alongside time in nature, the trips include reflection sessions with psychologists, leisure by the river, and group activities designed to support recovery. The psychological toll of the war is immense. Many veterans return home with invisible wounds such as PTSD, severe anxiety or brain injuries. Ukraine's Ministry of Health estimates that nearly 1.8 million may need psychological support. So projects like this can act as a positive step towards that, with early participants describing the experience as both meaningful and therapeutic. It gave them a chance to release tension, reconnect with loved ones and see how rewilding is bringing back wildlife such as water buffalo, wild horses and deer. With more trips planned, the initiative is showing how the recovery of nature and the recovery of people can move forward together. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching, and tap the like button down below if you've enjoyed this video. And one question before you go, starting in 2026, would you prefer if I create longer videos, like longer versions of videos like this, or an extra good news episode in the middle of the month? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you the same place, same time next month, my friend. Bye!